Welcome to your Monday. I'm Jay Cleveland Payne, aka your Mr. Monday, and this quick bit of motivation and inspiration which was republished on April the 5th, 2021. The original message goes as follows. A mutiny is a simple operation. Everyone on board a ship has to be okay with the plan to overthrow the captain, and everyone involved in the apprehension must know their roles. So going deeper into this one, this is for all the people who are ready to start their own personal revolutions, because a personal revolution is great if you're the only person running it. But if that revolution is supposed to be something large, then it's pretty simple. You just got to get everybody around you who's going to be a part of the revolution and make this thing happen. Know that they're a part of the revolution, know what they have to do, and be okay with the plan to overthrow whatever it is you're overthrowing. Because it's going to be a lot of work, a whole lot of effort, and maybe if it doesn't go as well as you planned, a little bloodied and just might not work at all if it doesn't go completely according to plan. I use the example of a mutiny is pretty simple. A mutiny would happen aboard a ship, and the ship is a closed off space, and a mutiny usually happens out in the middle of the open waters, usually by yourself, so that no one else can come in and interfere with what's happening. So in order to take charge of the captain's nest, the one person in charge that everyone on board has taken an oath to follow, regardless of what their station in life is, they are on the ship and they have decided to follow the orders, mostly of the captain and partially of the person who's in charge of them. If everybody's going to take out the guy on top, everybody who's in charge of that, everyone that's going to be in that plan to overthrow the captain must be in on it. Because one person that isn't will ruin the plan. It'll be harder to take over, harder to overthrow that one person, harder to take out all the people who are set there who are literally pledged to the captain. If somebody in a role that can stymie your plans on revolution aren't down with your plans on revolutions. And then what's maybe more important, or just more or less in the same range, is everyone who's going to charge the captain's nest, everyone who's going to try to take over, everybody who's in the plan to literally overthrow the captain must know what their roles are, must know what they're supposed to be doing, must know where they're supposed to be and when they're supposed to be there and why it should be important. Taking away this mutiny sort of example, other than the fact that you just have mass chaos and people just going at it, you have to know where you're supposed to be and what's going to happen to have that revolution. It's one thing to rile up a crowd to try to push into some sort of government agency just to sort of ramrod and take over and say, we're taking over. It's something totally different to actually have a plan once you show up. It's essentially what the dog has to figure out once they actually catch the car. Because once you have the car, what do you do with it? All you know is you're supposed to be chasing that tire that's rolling on that vehicle. And once you catch it, now what? There is nothing inherently wrong with wanting to change the world. And there's nothing inherently wrong with starting a quote unquote revolution or a disruption of service, especially in places where the norm is not very great. But the problem comes from the idea versus the execution. The thought process that we can be doing something better versus I'm going to take this thing over and do it better right now. Maybe by myself, maybe with a handful of folks, but we're just going to do it right now. It takes planning. It takes process. It takes talent. It takes planning, process, and talent just to manage it in the first place. But to take over from the establishment when you may find that many people, whether it's a good or bad establishment, don't want the establishment changed, especially not in a radical way like you want to, you'll see why there's resistance. You'll see why a mutiny is necessarily a grand thing to happen on a ship. You'll see that even though the captain is cruel, there are people that the captain entrusts to instill his cruelty that don't necessarily mind it because they get some perks out of being with the cruel captain. So if you're ready to make change, be ready to make change. Small change, incremental change, change that slowly rolls over. That's something that one person can start on their own and see it go into a larger scale. But if you're ready to take out the head, as they say, when you go for the king, you best not miss. It's pretty simple. Operation for a mutiny is, of course, as I said, in literally less than 280 characters how to make it happen. The problem is, try to make it happen without any sort of slip up, any sort of bloodshed, or any sort of responsibility lost to people who may or may not make it happen. Especially if it doesn't happen. What do you do then? A mutiny is a simple operation. Everyone on board the ship has to be okay with the plan to overthrow the captain, and everyone involved in the apprehension must know their roles. This original message was published on April 5th, 2021 from Welcome to Your Monday. For more messages like this one, plus books, merchandise, and other information related to this project, visit the website, welcometoyourmonday.com.